Corey joins us across the street from Lambeau Field, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we get ready for the NFL draft happening right behind me in Green Bay, but right now, we welcome Green Bay Packers safety Evan Williams.
All
Yes,
right, there we
sir.
go.
Appreciate you guys.
Let's go.
What's going on? How are you, Evan?
Man, doing great, doing great. Appreciate you guys for having me, man. It's a blessing. Much love.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate you being here. And, it's the real kind of, for us as fans who aren't privy to everything going on behind the scenes, it's a real trying time. Still a long way to go. Still got a couple weeks until the draft. And so every bit of Packers news becomes this huge deal. And to get to hear from an actual member of the Green Bay Packers is pretty phenomenal. So, again, thank you for the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited.
How has your offseason been so far? Have you traveled at all? Have you stayed close to home? What's your vibe like once the season's over?
Yeah, this first off season has actually been really nice. Got the chance to travel a little bit. Went to Hawaii with my girl,
Okay.
and that was a lot of fun. We island hopped a few times, so we got to see three different islands. And man,
All
it's
right.
been good. I've just been recovering, getting my body back to as close to 100% as I can. And I'm just grateful to have all this time off because last year around this time I was trying to juggle 10
Right.
things at once, trying to get, on a team and trying to or having this spot secured and, getting to be with the Packers now. It's been a blessing, man.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. As Corey mentioned, the draft's happening in a couple weeks right behind him there at Lambeau. And your draft process, as far as the kind of gauntlet, right? People talk a lot about the idea of, okay, you get done as a player, whatever your season is, right? And then maybe a playoff game or a all-star game or what have you. And then you have, all the stuff you have to do around the combine or any of the off-season work that you have to do
Mhm.
for teams, visits, pro days, what have you. What was that journey like? Was there a part that was more difficult than the rest? And what was your draft kind of weekend like as far as waiting for the call, so to speak?
Yeah, I'll say this much. It was definitely a hectic journey. You said it best just with everything that's going on, you're kind of just trying to balance, going to these different places, trying to put your best foot forward and, in front of all these scouts. And then, yeah, at the same time, right before the draft, you have about a month of nothing. Like you don't hear much of
Right.
anything. And so you're kind of in the dark a little bit. But no, I mean, I have nothing but positive memories from that time. Just getting to spend that time with family. And it's a little nerve wracking. In those moments, you have no idea really where you're gonna go. What's gonna really happen. The first couple rounds, you kind of have an idea if you're going that early, but after that, it's kind of like anything's up for grabs. Anything can happen, and so yeah, man, I have nothing but positive memories from that time. I was in Lake Tahoe with, a lot of my family, um, hoping to get my name called on day three. And yeah, I was, it's actually funny. My agent told me to kind of just, be calm during that time because you're going to get calls, teams are trying to check up on you, during that process. And so I'm heading into day three, like, all right, I'm going to get some calls. Like, don't trip out if I see a
Right.
crazy area code or
Certain
anything on my
number,
phone.
right?
Yeah. And so literally the first call I got that day was Green Bay. And it's right as it started and right as the day three is starting. And I just figured it was going to be, one of those other calls. And yeah. And I think first words were, yeah, I'm going to put you on with our GM, Goody. And I was like,
Nice.
that is not what you say if you're just gonna do a normal call like that. This is the
Right.
one. And I
The
looked over at
check-in,
my brother,
right?
looked over at my mom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, man, that's a moment I'll have etched into my brain forever. So.
That's incredible. I can't even fathom it because the idea, obviously, coming into the draft where you could go anywhere. I mean, anywhere in the
Hmm.
country, you could end up, and it's out of your control. Did that enter your mind at all? As far as, I mean, we've heard kind of jokingly at times for some guys, maybe not so with others, but like, oh, I've been drafted to Green Bay. Great. where's Green Bay? Like, were you familiar with the area at all, or did you know about the Packers? How into it were you before that you got drafted?
I mean, just as a football fan, I feel like I knew a little bit about Green Bay, just, how historic the organization is. I obviously, I mean, I knew where it was. I think I could point it out on a map if you gave me, a couple guesses. But
You're ahead of Clay
nah, man,
Matthews then. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good
yeah,
start.
or I'll take it. I'll take it. No, but I think I knew more than the average goer, and yeah, it is a kind of crazy process. You don't know where you're gonna go, and so your family's watching, like, okay, where are we gonna be visiting, for the next
Right.
3 years. And so it was a really cool just process, and being able to land in Green Bay was a blessing.
And looking back at your rookie season, obviously a lot of great stuff put on tape. You had such a really good stretch. Obviously missed a little bit of time with injury before coming back there at the end of the season. What do you, a two-part question for you. What are you most proud of as far as whatever you might have accomplished last year, or what you did with your first year in the NFL? And then where do you think is your greatest area as far as a need for improvement, where you think you can improve your game?
Mm. Um, I'd probably say I'm most proud of just the way that I handled myself, stepping onto the scene for the first time. It was a pretty hectic, transition. You go into straight into a new locker room with a bunch of guys, you look up to, a bunch of guys you respect, and you're clashing heads with them every day. And so, yeah, my main goal, honestly, coming into it was just to, yeah, try to earn a little bit of that respect from guys in the locker room. And if that showed up on Sundays, and then let it happen. But yeah, that was my initial goal, and so that's probably what I'm most proud of, just to kind of put my first impression on tape, and feel like I did a good job of that. Just putting a physical brand of ball, and kind of just relentless football, and kind of just showing that on tape
Hell yeah.
anytime I can. And
Hell yeah.
thing I could improve upon, I would probably say my ball production. That's definitely something that, I take a lot of pride in, is just being around the ball, causing havoc just in the game, and kind of being a pest.
Right.
Whenever you're around the ball, you got to make the most of those opportunities, because, sometimes you'll get games where plays just don't come to you. And so, when they do, you just got to try to make the most of them. And I feel like I can do a little bit better in just, making the most of those opportunities when the ball comes to me.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. What was that transition like from playing whatever you were asked to do in the college game to what Jeff Halfley and company were asking you to do in Green Bay? Because, as fans sitting from the outside looking in, we were obviously ourselves getting used to watching a new style of defense, a new scheme in
Mhm.
Green Bay. I can't fathom what it's like to have whatever you have behind you as far as what you've done in a previous scheme, and then having to like maybe learn new terminology, learn whatever the schematic differences might be. Was that an easy transition, or did that take time?
It's definitely something that takes time. You really have to spend those hours, and just with people that have been around, the system. You gotta, as you said, the terminology is, it's not going to be the same any two places you go, and so you gotta basically unlearn everything that you've had in the past, and in an attempt to relearn all this new information that's coming to you. And so, it's not an easy transition by any means, but I did it a couple of times in college. I think I had four different coordinators in my 5 years, and
Holy
so,
cow!
yeah, and so you kind of
So
gotta
you got
be
you're practiced at this.
yeah,
Christ.
exactly,
Wow.
exactly. I had my homework done already before, and so, yeah, it's definitely a process of, yeah, all the terminology. You definitely find yourself using old terminology that you've used in the past for the same, around the same job. But I would say the main difference was, headed for my 1 year at Oregon, it just felt like a lot the first time that, I was introduced to the scheme. Like, it felt like, or it was just something I was not familiar with, the kind of bracket coverage they run over there. And so that was like starting from scratch. And so coming to into Hapley's defense, I'm not gonna say it was easy by any means, but I liked it a lot more, just because it was a lot more details based. Like,
Mm.
um, it wasn't as new concepts. You don't have to grasp anything completely, foreign to you. But as far as everything you've learned in the past, like you need to learn the minute details in order to be a really good defense. You got to break on the ball right when the quarterback lets the ball go. You got to be able to, recognize route concepts, how they're trying to attack you. And it's just a lot more stuff that you need to do from pre-snap to the snap. A lot more that you have to calculate. And I love that challenge, honestly, as somebody coming into the system. As a rookie, you want to, be able to push your best out there. And I think half system, does a great job of just highlighting our strengths and letting us play fast.
I'm glad you mentioned the at the snap thing because something that really jumped out last summer when you were at the training camp practices, and I'm there on the sideline watching you guys, and I think I made about, I think they started teasing me because I think I made 3 videos throughout that summer about your play on those on the practice field because what was so apparent and what really jumped out, and I'd love to get maybe your thought here, is the
Mm-hmm.
kind of pre-snap stuff that they were asking you guys to do at the safety position, as far as not just like, okay, this is we're cover 3 or we're cover 4 or whatever, but man, you guys are changing it up while there's motion going on and kind of barking at each other about what you think is coming and who's got what, and that
Mm-hmm.
that happened like it right away. So I got to think obviously that work gets done during OTAs and the all season work because it didn't feel like you guys were just starting together there at training camp. It seemed pretty instantaneous.
Yeah, I give all due credit to just the coaching that we received as well as the veteran leadership we got in our locker room. Like just being able to be a rookie, come in, you don't know anybody, and then almost immediately to be taken under the wing of a guy like X, all pro type of dude that just sets all the right standards, right?
Hmm.
I really stepped into like I can't say it enough that I stepped into the perfect situation for me just because you have that mentor, you have some new coaches that are coming in explaining it to the team for the first time, so you get it, you get that information with the rest of the team. You're not trying to catch up, and yeah, it did go really smoothly, honestly. The whole process coming from college and into this new system. It was pretty seamless, being able to and getting the ability to work with another rookie safety beside you. You got 2 rookie
Right.
safeties that are coming in beside you where you can all, meet up, share ideas and just share knowledge, over what you guys are learning. And so, yeah, I'm definitely just beyond grateful for the position that I was put in. And yeah, it was pretty seamless transition. I feel like we did a good job of showing that on the field.
Evan, I'm not saying I've sat here as an observer watching training camp practices that weren't smooth and didn't look good, but let me tell you, I have, and that was not
That's
it.
fair.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
Something I did want to touch on here because it's been kind of off and on in the headlines throughout this offseason. A rumor that the Packers are headed to Ireland this year to play the Steelers. Now, Mark Murphy threw some cold water on that yesterday, but it's still a possibility. And I wanted to
Mm,
ask you because now you've been to Brazil, right? Like you guys opened the season in
mhm.
Brazil last year. What are your thoughts on the NFL's push to play internationally? Because it does seem like it's here to stay, but you guys are the ones that really have to deal with this. I mean, the fans can complain about whatever, but you guys are the
Mhm.
ones playing the game across the pond in these, far-flung regions.
Yeah, and I'm honestly all for it. I'm a fan of just spreading the game, just the positivity of the game to anywhere that we can, to widen our influence. I think is an awesome thing for the game, an awesome thing for just the growth of the football community. I feel like it's great in theory. Sometimes when you're out there, it could be inconvenient. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this, times in Brazil where, our bus got delayed, an hour and a half. It's a 2 hour drive from the hotel to the stadium. And so there's some logistics that kind of, and it's my first year, right? So I haven't had a
Right.
consistent, traveling basis, but no, there's some things that are, tough to deal with in other countries, but I feel like it's just in any way that you can spread the game, spread the love of the game, and to other places that are obviously passionate about our sport too. yeah, I feel like you got to jump at that opportunity.
Speaking of Brazil, how frustrating was that? I mean, I got to admit, I was surprised because, like I said, I had been like talking you up all summer, and then you get to Brazil and you don't play a snap in week one. Did you know that was
Mm.
coming? Is that something they talked about game plan wise, or was that a surprise?
It was a little bit of a surprise to me. I felt like I was putting some good stuff on tape. Felt like I was executing, the way that coaches wanted me to. And yeah, so going into that first week, I really wasn't too sure. I felt like I had a good opportunity to at least get a few snaps, and so it was really just a reality check. Honestly, just a little humility was thrown my way. That's the only
Hmm.
way you can take it. Really, is just
Right.
okay. Let me go back to square one. Let me just focus on what I can control. The little things. And go from there. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a shock, as you always have that dream as a rookie coming into the league, first start on the biggest stage
Oh
and it
yeah,
just
hell
didn't
yeah.
happen that way for me. And I mean, looking back, I wouldn't have it any other way because then I was able to step into the role that I was and kind of just introduce my name the way that I did. And I feel like that's a much more telling story of just, my determination, and my just perseverance to kind of just get things done.
Hell yeah. We're talking with safety Evan Williams of the Green Bay Packers. Evan, you're an absolute legend for joining us. We only got a few more questions for you. First up, it seems like this gets asked of every dude, and it's a bit of a cliche, but I almost always hear phenomenal or at least really interesting and engaging answers. So I got to ask, what is, if there was one, what was your welcome to the NFL moment? Was there a hit?
Oh
Was there a play?
boy.
Was there a player talking trash? Like, was there a moment we were like, "Hold, wait, what? I'm in the NFL."
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that come to mind. The main one that I would say would probably be the Bears game. It was my first game back from yeah, a little injury I was dealing with, and so I'm thinking everything's gonna be sweet. Gonna come back. The fans gonna be, no, I'm kidding, but no, yeah, I was just excited to come back. Spend that first game, and then yeah, I'm rolling down into the flat of the cover three shell, and yeah, they run a little toss sweep to the outside, and so I got to come set the edge, and the person coming to me has got me by probably 200 pounds, and I just was in a
Right.
bad angle.
Yeah.
I got ragdolled, and when I look back up, the guy's in the end zone. I'm like, God, I do not want to see that on film tomorrow. But yeah, that's the main one that comes to mind for
But
sure.
that feels like at least that's a pretty common occurrence for a defensive back, right? If
Yeah,
they just happen to get you in the right look, the right play call, and you got that tackle or a guard out in space, like, okay, there's no shame in that. I mean,
and
that's
there was
gonna
a
happen all the
time,
time.
yeah, there was a time when I'm, growing up playing where you can cut those type of guys. It gets to the outside and you
Illegal
can kind of
now, right?
cause a pile up. I
Can't
didn't
do it.
have that in my book of tricks, and so I just had to take one on the chin, man. That was a rough one for sure.
Oh, so good, Evan. You're an absolute legend. Real quick before we let you go, what kind of things do you like to do on your downtime? Obviously, there's a lot of football talk. There's a lot of talk about your time with the Packers and in college and the whole football thing. What do you do when you're not footballing? What are you a video game guy? Are you movies, music? What are you into?
Yeah, I'm into all of that. Honestly, I'm a pretty regular dude away from the facility. Like my music, definitely. I've been getting into some good TV shows. Just been watching Severance,
Well,
um,
there you go.
and that's been keeping me plenty busy. In my off time. But nah, man, I mean, really just ball, go home. If I have time to go golfing, maybe a little bit.
All
It's
right.
it's pretty ugly. My swing is pretty ugly right now, I must say, because I haven't been out there in a while. I'm dealing with my thumb right now.
Oh
So it's been
no.
a couple months. So don't ask me. Yeah, don't have me trying out my practice swings, out at the links anytime soon. But nah, man. Yeah, play some video games and yeah, just hang at the crib, man. Nothing
I
crazy.
love it. Absolutely love it. Talking with Packers safety Evan Williams. Evan, we really appreciate the time. I hear you're going to be in Green Bay around draft time. Hopefully, we'll see
Oh
you. We're having a
yeah.
meetup there downtown. Hopefully, you can stop by and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to, no doubt.
Awesome. Fantastic,
Nice.
man. All right. Well, Evan, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so
Yes,
much,
sir.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you guys again, man. Y'all take care. Appreciate it.
Easy.
Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you. Thanks, Evan. Evan Williams, Green Bay Packer, right there for your listening and viewing pleasure here on Cheesehead TV. Corey Banky, we had a Packers
I like
player
him.
on.